Kate Morrison sat in the back corner of the classroom like she always did. Her brown hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her uniform was clean but not perfectly pressed like the other students. She kept her eyes on her notebook while Commander Davis talked about space battle tactics. "Who can tell me the best way to attack an enemy fleet that has more ships than you?" Commander Davis asked the class. 5 hands shot up immediately. Jake Miller waved his hand in the air. "Sir, you use hit-and-run tactics. Attack fast and retreat before they can respond." "Good answer, Miller. Anyone else?" Amy Foster raised her hand next. "You could try to split their forces, sir. Make them divide their ships so you can fight smaller groups." Commander Davis nodded. "Excellent thinking, Foster." Kate wrote everything down in her notebook. She had different ideas, but she never raised her hand. She never spoke unless someone asked her a direct question. The other students sometimes forgot she was even there. The truth was, Kate understood military strategy better than most of her classmates. She spent hours reading old battle reports and studying fleet movements. While other students went to parties or played sports, Kate was in the library learning about famous battles from Earth's history and the few space conflicts humanity had fought. She knew that both Jake and Amy had given textbook answers. They were the kind of responses that sounded good in class but might not work in real combat. Kate had ideas that were different, ideas that came from studying battles where the smaller force had won against impossible odds. But she kept those ideas to herself. After class, Kate walked to her room in the dormitory. Her roommate Lisa was getting ready for a date with one of the popular boys from their tactical studies class. "You should come out with us sometime, Kate," Lisa said while putting on makeup. "You spend too much time alone." "I'm fine," Kate said. She opened her textbook and started reading about communications systems on military ships. Lisa shook her head. "You're going to graduate without anyone remembering your name." Kate didn't answer. She had heard this before. Teachers forgot to call on her during discussions. Classmates borrowed her notes but never invited her to study groups. She was invisible, and she had learned to be comfortable with that. 3 years later, Kate graduated from the Naval Academy. She finished 5th in her class, but nobody mentioned her name during the ceremony. She received her assignment to the USS Meridian, an exploration ship that traveled to distant star systems looking for new worlds and resources. Captain Linda Hayes commanded the Meridian. She was everything Kate was not: confident, outgoing, and respected by everyone who served under her. Kate admired her captain but never tried to get close to her. Kate did her job as communications officer quietly and efficiently. The Meridian had been exploring the outer rim of known space for 2 months when they detected the alien ships. Kate was on duty when the first signals came through her equipment. The patterns were unlike anything in the human database. "Captain Hayes to the bridge," Kate called over the ship's communication system. Captain Hayes arrived within minutes. "What do we have, Morrison?" "Unknown ships, Captain. 3 of them. Approaching from the port side. They're big, much bigger than anything we have." Hayes studied the sensor readings. "Any attempts at communication?" "Yes, ma'am. They're sending signals on multiple frequencies. The computer is trying to translate now." The bridge crew gathered around the main display screen. Everyone was excited about first contact with an alien species. This was what they had trained for, what humanity had dreamed about for centuries. Kate worked at her station, processing the incoming signals. The translation program was making progress, slowly turning alien sounds into words that humans could understand. "Got something, Captain," Kate said. "They're calling themselves the Zentari Empire. They want to talk." Captain Hayes smiled. "Open a channel, Morrison. Let's make history." The main screen flickered and showed the image of an alien being. It was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. Its face had no expression that humans could read. "I am High Commander Vex of the Zentari Empire," the alien said. Its voice was translated by the computer into flat, emotionless words. "You are humans from the planet Earth." "That's correct," Captain Hayes replied. "I'm Captain Linda Hayes of the United Earth Navy. This is a peaceful exploration mission." "Your species is young," High Commander Vex said. You have only recently learned to travel between stars. We have been watching you. Kate felt something cold in her stomach. The alien's words sounded friendly, but there was something wrong about the way it spoke. She had studied enough military communications to recognize threats, even when they were disguised as polite conversation. We hope to learn from more advanced civilizations like yours, Captain Hayes said. Perhaps we can establish trade relations or share scientific knowledge. High Commander Vex was quiet for a long moment. Then it said, "Your species advances too quickly. In 50 years you have gone from primitive rockets to faster-than-light travel. This is unusual. This is dangerous." Kate's hands moved quickly over her communication controls. She was recording everything and running analysis programs on the alien ship's signals. What she found made her heart beat faster. The Zentari ships were not just exploring. They were scanning the meridian with military sensors, the kind used to identify weapons and defenses. They were also sending coded transmissions to other locations, probably calling for more ships. "We only want peace," Captain Hayes said to the alien commander. "Peace requires order," High Commander Vex replied. "Order requires control. Your species will submit to Zentari authority, or your species will be eliminated. You have 72 hours to deliver your surrender to the Zentari fleet at your homeworld." The communication ended abruptly. The bridge was completely silent. "Did that thing just threaten to destroy Earth?" Lieutenant Commander Brad Johnson asked. Captain Hayes looked around at her officers. "It appears so. Morrison, get me a secure channel to Earth Command immediately." Kate was already working on the transmission. Her mind was racing, but her fingers were steady on the controls. While the other officers talked about evacuation plans and diplomatic solutions, Kate was thinking about something else entirely. She had noticed something about the Zentari ships during their scan. Something that might be important. Something that might give humanity a chance. But like always, Kate kept her thoughts to herself. For now. The Zentari attacked Earth exactly 72 hours later. Kate was in her quarters when the emergency alarm started ringing throughout the meridian. She rushed to the bridge and found chaos everywhere. "What's happening?" she asked Lieutenant Commander Johnson. "They're hitting Earth's defense stations," Johnson said, his face pale. "The orbital platforms are being destroyed one by one." Kate took her position at the communication station and immediately started monitoring military channels. The reports coming from Earth were terrible. Admiral Collins and his flagship were gone, destroyed in the first wave of attacks. Half of the human fleet was already destroyed or damaged beyond repair. Captain Hayes stood at the center of the bridge, watching the tactical display. Red dots showed Zentari ships surrounding Earth. Blue dots showed human ships, and there were far fewer of them. "Captain," Lieutenant Scott called from the navigation station. "Orders from Earth Command. All ships are to retreat to the outer colonies immediately." Hayes closed her eyes for a moment. "Prepare for jump to hyperspace. Set course for the Titan colony." Kate watched the display screen as more human ships disappeared. The Zentari had more ships, better weapons, and they were winning easily. The human fleet was running away and Earth was going to fall. "Captain," Kate said quietly. Hayes looked at her with surprise. Kate almost never spoke during bridge operations. "Yes, Morrison?" "I need to speak with you privately, ma'am." Hayes stared at her for a moment. The bridge was busy with officers preparing for the retreat. Everyone was focused on their escape route. "My ready room. Now." Kate followed her captain to the small office behind the bridge. Hayes closed the door and turned to face her. "What is it, Morrison? We need to leave now." Kate took a deep breath. This was the first time in her career that she was going to disagree with a superior officer. "I don't think we should run, Captain." "Excuse me? The Zentari fleet has a weakness. I saw it during their scan of our ship. If we attack now, we can hurt them badly." Hayes sat down in her chair. "Morrison, they have 3 times as many ships as we do. Their weapons are more advanced than ours. This isn't the time for heroics." Kate moved to the tactical display on the wall. "Look at their formation, Captain. See how their big ships are arranged? Those are command vessels. They control all the smaller ships through quantum communication arrays. So, the arrays have to synchronize every few minutes to maintain control. During synchronization, they're vulnerable to electromagnetic interference. If we hit them with a strong enough pulse at the right moment, we can blind their entire fleet. Hayes looked at the display more carefully. Even if you're right, how do we get close enough to use an electromagnetic pulse? Their ships will destroy us before we get within range. Kate pointed to another part of the display. We use the asteroid field near Mars. The Zentari are avoiding it because it interferes with their sensors. We can hide in there and wait for the right moment. This is suicide, Morrison. Kate looked directly at her captain. No, ma'am. This is war. Hayes was quiet for a long moment. Outside, the alarms were still ringing. More reports were coming from Earth about destroyed ships and dead crews. You've never led a combat mission. Morrison, you've never even been in a real battle. That's true, Captain. But I've studied every battle humanity has ever fought. I've read reports from every war in our history. Sometimes the best strategies come from people who think differently. Hayes stood up and walked to the window that showed the stars outside. If we do this and it fails, everyone on this ship dies. If we run away, everyone on Earth dies. Captain Hayes was quiet for another moment. Then she activated the ship's communication system. All hands, this is the captain. We are not retreating. We are going to attack the Zentari fleet. Prepare for combat operations. The bridge was silent when they returned. Every officer stared at Captain Hayes and Kate. Morrison will be coordinating this attack, Hayes announced. She has identified a weakness in the enemy formation. All departments will follow her tactical instructions. Kate felt every eye on the bridge looking at her. She had never given orders to anyone before. She had never been in charge of anything important, but she knew her plan would work. Navigation, set course for the Mars asteroid field. Maximum speed, but stay hidden from their sensors. Engineering, I need the electromagnetic pulse generators ready. We'll need full power on my command. Weapons, load all torpedo tubes but don't lock onto any targets yet. We need to stay invisible. The Meridian moved through space toward Mars. Kate watched the sensor displays tracking the Zentari fleet's movements. The alien ships were still attacking Earth's defenses, destroying everything in their path. We're in position, navigation, reported. Kate studied the enemy formation on her display. The big command ships were exactly where she expected them to be. She could see the smaller ships moving in perfect coordination, following orders from the command vessels. Captain, I'm reading quantum communication pulses from the Zentari fleet, the science officer reported. Kate watched the patterns on her screen. The aliens were sending new orders to their attack ships. In 30 seconds, they would have to synchronize their communication arrays. That was her chance. All stop, Kate ordered. Prepare electromagnetic pulse. The bridge was completely quiet. Everyone was watching Kate, waiting for her command. 20 seconds, 15 seconds, 10 seconds. Fire electromagnetic pulse. All weapons. Target the command ships now. The Meridian's pulse generators sent out a massive wave of electromagnetic energy. At the same moment, all the ship's torpedoes launched toward the Zentari command vessels. The hour effect was immediate. The Zentari fleet's perfect formation fell apart. Small ships crashed into each other or spun out of control. The command ships, hit by both the electromagnetic pulse and human torpedoes, began to explode. Direct hit on 3 command ships, weapons reported. Secondary explosions on 2 more. Kate watched the tactical display as the Zentari fleet collapsed into chaos. Without their command ships, the smaller vessels had no coordination. They were flying in random directions, some of them shooting at their own ships by mistake. Earth command to all ships, came a voice over the communication system. The Zentari fleet is retreating. Repeat, the enemy is retreating. Captain Hayes looked at Kate with amazement. How did you know that would work? Kate was still watching the display, making sure the Zentari were really leaving. I read about a similar battle from World War II. A small force used electronic warfare to defeat a much larger enemy fleet. The bridge crew was cheering, but Kate felt no joy. This was just the beginning. The Zentari would be back with more ships and better preparation. Humanity had won the first battle, But the war was far from over, and somehow the quiet communications officer who never spoke in meetings had become the person everyone was looking to for answers. 3 weeks after the battle at Earth, Kate found herself in a conference room at Earth Command headquarters. News reporters wanted to interview her. Military officers wanted to shake her hand. Politicians wanted to give her medals. Kate avoided all of them. She spent her time in the intelligence archives instead, reading everything humanity knew about the Zentari Empire. The information was not good. The aliens controlled 42 star systems with hundreds of worlds. They had been conquering other species for over 1,000 years. Commander Morrison? Kate looked up from her computer terminal. A tall man in a general's uniform stood in the doorway. She recognized him from news broadcasts. General Frank Murphy, the new head of Human Defense Command. Yes, sir? I've been looking for you. Do you have a few minutes? General Murphy sat down across from her. I've read the reports from your attack on the Zentari fleet. Impressive work. Thank you, sir. I have a question for you. How do we win this war? Kate looked at the data on her screen. We can't win by fighting them directly, sir. They have too many ships and too many soldiers. So, what do you suggest? Kate pulled up a map of Zentari space on her computer. Look at how their empire is organized, General. They have a central government that controls dozens of different species. Most of those species were conquered and forced to serve the Zentari. General Murphy studied the map. Go on. The Zentari think they're invincible because they've never lost a war. They've never faced an enemy that could fight back effectively. Their whole system is based on fear and overwhelming force. What's your point, Commander? Kate highlighted several star systems on the map. These worlds belong to species that were conquered by the Zentari. If we free these worlds, we turn the Zentari's strength against them. Every species we liberate becomes our ally instead of their servant. General Murphy was quiet for a moment. You want to start a rebellion across the entire Zentari Empire? Yes, sir. We show other species that the Zentari can be defeated. Once that happens, the whole empire will fall apart from the inside. This is a very different kind of strategy, Commander. It will take years, maybe decades. Kate nodded. The Zentari built their empire over centuries. We can't destroy it in a few battles. But we can give their slaves hope. Hope is more dangerous to tyrants than weapons. General Murphy stood up. I'm promoting you to full commander and giving you authority to plan our next operations. Some of the senior officers aren't going to like taking orders from someone so young. I don't need them to like me, sir. I just need them to follow orders. Kate's first target was Kepler 442b, homeworld of a species called the Vorthak. The Zentari had enslaved them 300 years ago and used them as workers in their mining operations. Intelligence reports said the Vorthak were treated badly and might be willing to fight for freedom. Kate studied everything she could find about Vorthak culture and history. She learned that they were a proud warrior race before the Zentari conquered them. They had legends about heroes who would someday free them from slavery. The rescue mission was different from the battle at Earth. Kate couldn't use electromagnetic pulses or surprise attacks. The Zentari were expecting human ships now. They had better defenses and stronger patrols. Kate's plan was more complex. She divided the human fleet into 3 groups. The first group would attack the Zentari military base on the planet's moon. This would draw the alien ships away from the main world. The second group would land on the planet and help the Vorthak rebels. The third group, led by Kate herself, would attack the Zentari command center in orbit. Remember, Kate told her officers before the mission began, we're not just fighting the Zentari today. We're showing the entire galaxy that they can be defeated. The battle started exactly as Kate planned. The first group attacked the moon base, and the Zentari ships moved to defend it. While the aliens were distracted, the second group landed on the planet and made contact with Vorthak resistance leaders. Kate led the third group toward the orbital command center. It was a massive space station that controlled all Zentari operations in the star system. If they could capture it, they would free the entire world. Commander, her tactical officer called out, the station has heavy shields and weapon platforms. Kate studied the enemy defenses. The Zentari had learned from their defeat at Earth. They weren't making the same mistakes again. Target the power, Generators, Kate ordered. If we can overload their energy systems, the shields will fail. The human ships attacked the station from multiple directions. Kate had studied the design of Zentari space stations and found their weakness. The aliens built everything for maximum firepower, but they didn't protect their power systems well enough. Direct hit on the main generator. Weapons reported. Their shields are down to 60%. Continue firing. Target the secondary generators. The battle lasted 4 hours. Kate's ships took heavy damage, but they slowly wore down the station's defenses. When the shields finally failed, human soldiers boarded the station and captured the control room. "Commander Morrison," came a voice over the communication system. "This is Captain Rodriguez on the planet's surface. The Vorthak have joined the fight. They're attacking Zentari positions all over the world." Kate smiled for the first time in weeks. "Understood, Captain. Continue supporting their operations." Within 12 hours, the Vorthak had driven the Zentari completely off their home world. The aliens who had ruled them for 3 centuries were gone, and the Vorthak were free. The Vorthak leader, a large reptilian being named Keth, spoke to Kate through a translator. "Your people have given us back our honor. The Vorthak will fight beside humans until the Zentari Empire falls." News of the victory spread quickly through the galaxy. Kate had been right about the psychological effect. If humans could free one enslaved world, they could free others. Within a month, 3 more species contacted Earth secretly, asking for help with their own rebellions. The Zentari Empire was beginning to crack. Kate returned to Earth as a hero, but she still avoided the celebrations and ceremonies. She had work to do. The war was far from over, and she was already planning the next liberation mission. General Murphy found her in the archives again, studying reports about another enslaved species. "The politicians want to give you a medal, Commander." Kate didn't look up from her computer. "I don't want a medal, sir. I want more ships." "How many more worlds are you planning to liberate?" Kate pulled up the star map showing the entire Zentari Empire. "All of them, General, every single one." General Murphy looked at the map with its dozens of star systems and hundreds of worlds. "That's impossible, Commander." Kate finally looked up at him. The Zentari thought conquering the galaxy was impossible too, but they did it one world at a time. Now we're going to take it back the same way. For the first time since the war began, General Murphy believed they might actually win. 2 years later, Admiral Kate Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Valiant, looking at the biggest battle in galactic history. She was 32 years old and commanded a fleet of ships from 15 different species. All of them had been slaves of the Zentari Empire until Kate freed them. The final battle was happening at Zentari Prime, the home world of the alien empire. Kate had spent months planning this attack. The Zentari had gathered every ship they had left to defend their capital. It was their last chance to win the war. "Admiral," Lieutenant Commander Williams called from the communications station, "all fleet commanders are ready for your orders." Kate looked at the tactical display. The Zentari had built massive defense platforms around their planet. They also had their most dangerous weapon here, a planet-killing cannon that could destroy entire worlds with one shot. "Open a channel to all ships," Kate said quietly. The communication system activated, connecting her to thousands of ships and millions of soldiers from across the galaxy. "This is Admiral Morrison. 2 years ago, the Zentari thought they could destroy humanity and continue enslaving the galaxy. They were wrong. Today, we end their empire forever." Kate paused and looked around her bridge. Her crew was a mix of humans and aliens all working together. The Zentari have ruled through fear for 1,000 years. They forgot that free people fight harder than slaves. Today, we show them what freedom looks like. All ships begin the attack. The massive fleet moved toward Zentari Prime. Ships from dozens of different worlds flew side by side. The Vorthak, who Kate had freed first, flew beside human vessels. Other species that had joined the rebellion followed close behind. The Zentari defense platforms opened fire immediately. Bright energy beams crossed space in all directions. Some of Kate's ships were hit and destroyed, but the fleet kept moving forward. "Admiral," the tactical officer reported, "the enemy is concentrating their fire on our larger ships." Kate had expected this. Signal all small fighters to begin attack pattern 7. All capital ships maintain defensive formation. Pattern 7 was one of Kate's inventions. Instead of attacking in straight lines, the small ships moved in complex patterns that made them hard to hit. The Zentari gunners couldn't track all the different movements. The battle continued for hours. Kate's forces slowly pushed closer to the planet, destroying defense platforms one at a time. But the Zentari still had their planet-killer weapon, and Kate knew they would use it soon. "Admiral," came a voice over the communication system. "This is Captain Chen on the Miranda. Enemy scouts report a large energy buildup on the planet's surface." Kate looked at her sensors. The planet killer was charging up. Intelligence reports said it took 6 hours to reach full power, and then it could destroy any planet in the galaxy. "Williams, get me a secure channel to Earth Command immediately." General Murphy's voice came through the speakers a few minutes later. "Admiral Morrison, we're monitoring your battle. How can we help?" "General, the Zentari are charging their planet killer. Intelligence says they're targeting Earth." There was silence on the channel for a moment. "How long do we have?" Kate checked her displays. 5 hours and 30 minutes, sir." "Can you stop them?" Kate looked at the tactical situation. Her fleet was still fighting the defense platforms. Even if they won quickly, it would take hours to reach the planet's surface and destroy the weapon. "I have an idea, General, but it's going to cost us." "What do you need, Admiral?" "I need you to trust me one more time." Kate ended the communication and turned to her bridge crew. "All hands prepare for ramming speed." Everyone on the bridge stared at her. Lieutenant Commander Williams spoke for all of them. "Admiral, did you say ramming speed?" "I studied the intelligence reports on that planet killer," Kate explained. "It needs massive amounts of power to charge up. That power comes from fusion, reactors deep underground." Kate pulled up a technical diagram on the main screen. "The reactors have a safety system that shuts them down if there's too much electromagnetic interference nearby. If I can get close enough with our ship's pulse generators, I can overload their safety systems." "Admiral," the engineering officer said, "that would require us to fly directly into their defensive fire. The ship won't survive." Kate nodded. "I know." She activated the ship's communication system again. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Continue the attack on the defense platforms. Do not follow the Valiant. Repeat, do not follow the Valiant." Kate turned to her crew. "Anyone who wants to leave can take the escape pods now. I won't order anyone to stay for this." Nobody moved. Lieutenant Commander Williams spoke for the crew. "We're with you, Admiral." "All the way." Kate felt proud of her crew, but also sad. Most of them were young officers who had their whole lives ahead of them. They didn't deserve to die because of her plan. Set course for the planet's surface. Maximum speed. The Valiant broke away from the main fleet and headed straight towards Zentari Prime. Every defense platform and weapon on the planet focused their fire on the single ship. "Hull damage on decks 4 and 5, engineering reported. "We're losing life support on the lower levels." "Keep going," Kate ordered. "Direct hit on the engine room. We're down to 60% power. Keep going." The ship shook violently as more weapons hit it. Kate could hear explosions throughout the vessel. Smoke was filling the bridge. "Admiral," Williams called out, "we're in range of the planet killer facility." Kate looked at her instruments. The Zentari weapon was almost fully charged. In 30 minutes it would fire at Earth and destroy her home world. "All power to electromagnetic pulse generators. Fire on my command." Kate watched the tactical display as the Valiant flew over the weapon facility. She could see the massive cannon pointing toward space, ready to fire at Earth. "Fire all pulse generators, maximum power." The Valiant's electromagnetic pulse hit the planet killer facility with tremendous force. Deep underground, the fusion reactors detected the interference and began their emergency shutdown sequence. But the pulse generators overloaded the Valiant's power systems. The ship started breaking apart from the energy feedback. "Admiral," Williams shouted over the noise of alarms and explosions, "the planet killer is shutting down. You did it." Kate smiled as she watched the readings on her screen. The weapon that could have destroyed Earth was now offline forever. The Zentari's last hope was gone. "Williams, Send a message to the fleet. Tell them to accept the Zentari surrender and establish the new galactic government we talked about. Yes, ma'am. Kate looked around the bridge one last time. Her crew was still at their stations, still following her orders even though they knew the ship was dying. It's been an honor serving with all of you, she said. The Valiant exploded a few seconds later, taking the Planet Killer facility with it. The war was over. Kate Morrison had never raised her hand in class, but when she raised it in war, she freed an entire galaxy.